Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaoatman.com. Welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the full moon and also the equinox and what these two events will mean for you as far as what's coming up in your life. So if you're feeling the energies heavy, which I know I have been, then stick around and find out how this might be affecting you and how you can get through it with more ease and grace. Welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness. Especially if you're new, I want to welcome you. If you're returning, welcome back. September the 20th is the peak of the full moon, and just 2 days later, the equinox occurs on September 22nd. So with the influence of this full moon, there are a lot of different energies going on in the air that are really strong right now. One of the things that this full moon is bringing about is for triggers to come up so that people can release behavioral patterns that are no longer serving them. And I know you're saying to me, you've been talking about this for a long time, Melissa. You've been talking about behavior patterns being released. And I know I have been, but it's a cycle. And there's a reason that it doesn't just happen overnight. You know, behavior patterns are things that have taken us a long time to learn. So it makes sense that it's going to take a while for us to release them too. And with each new moon and new phase, we have been releasing a little bit and a little bit more. So this is really the culmination of releasing all of those negative behavior patterns or negative emotions that are no longer serving us. So you may be feeling like you're triggered recently. That is happening for a reason, and it's not fun, trust me. I get triggered sometimes in my own life, and it's not fun at all when that happens for you because you don't realize what's happening at the time it's happening. Somebody says something or someone does something, and all of a sudden you just have this reaction and you can't control it. You don't know why it's happening. And later you feel really bad for overreacting, or you look back at it and go, what was that about? It's happening for a reason, so don't feel bad. I always tell people that I work with when we're working through old stuff, don't feel bad about things that have happened in the past because you can't go back and change the past. But we can learn from it, and we need to, as you know, some of my guests who have been on here before have talked about, if you can look back at things that have happened in the past with a curious mind and asking yourself, what was this about? Why is this happening? Why did this trigger come up? It's almost never about the thing that triggered you. I'll say that again. It's almost never about the thing that triggered you. It usually stems from something that happened to you in childhood or even beyond that. But for some reason, this one thing that happened, that's the thing. It was like the straw that broke the camel's back. It's the thing that maybe caused you to lose it and to have this reaction or to have all of these emotions come up. But it wasn't really actually about that thing. It's usually about something much deeper. So this full moon is coming in as a time for you to release all those painful patterns and to experience the lessons so that you can let go of the pain and openly welcome in the blessings that the universe has for you. Because it's not about experiencing pain all of the time. That's not why we're here. But we have to learn the lessons we came here to learn. And if we can learn to look at our lessons and let go of the painful part of it and instead try to look at it as, how can I use this to help me make better decisions in my life, to be better informed and to do things differently in the future, that's the healthy way to look at things. So you may feel like lately you've had to go through a lot of lessons, and you're not alone. Everyone is right there with you going through all of these lessons. Now, we all have different lessons to learn. Some of us had lessons that had to do with maybe emotional abuse that we endured as children. Other people maybe have lessons that they're enduring about letting go of control issues. There's so many different kinds of lessons that we have and that we're experiencing. Mine are different than yours. We all came here to experience different things. But this is a time right now where the triggers are coming up so that you can clear or transmute the energy So instead of feeling depressed, instead of feeling sad, instead of feeling hurt, we can try to transmute those feelings and instead say, what was this really about? Because it's not really about feeling sad and hurt and betrayed and all of those things. Yes, those are the emotions that come up. However, those emotions come up in order to point us to something that we really truly need to learn. I was talking to one of my family members just the other day, and we were talking about how there's this one family member who just is very blunt with her words, and she just says things and doesn't really take into consideration how it might sound or come across or how it makes other people feel. And in talking about that, my one family member said, well, I just really need to learn to just ignore it and to not take it personally. And I said to her, I said, yeah, that is honestly what you need to do, but it's easier said than done. It's easier said than done to say, I'm just going to let what somebody says roll off of my shoulders and I'm not going to take it personally. And whenever I was younger, I could not take it personally. Someone would say something to me and I would get so mad, or I would get so hurt and so offended, and I would get so upset. In fact, just this weekend, I had a little bit of a trigger pop up for me. So my dad was in town and we were all visiting. There was a festival going on in our town and we all went to it. And he made a comment. It was an innocent comment, honestly. But he made a comment like in front of the whole table of people who were sitting around. And he just said to me, I don't know how you eat as much as you do and you stay the size you are. And when he first said it, like, I was super offended. I know he meant it as a compliment, but you have to understand my history of people making comments about my weight, that it really bothered me. For example, when we were younger, and I think I've said this on the show before, but when we were younger, my sister made a comment. She said, oh, I'm so fat, which, by the way, my sister never has ever had an issue with weight, ever. I think she's always been like a size 4 and, one of those people where you're like, oh, I hate her. Not really. But you know what I mean? You just think she's complaining about her weight and she's never had an issue. I did not say a word. She said that. She made the comment and my dad just said, oh, neither one of you are fat. Talking to me, he said, you're just big boned like your mother. And it probably wouldn't even have made a dent, except that prior to that, I was watching a comedy special on TV. This is such a long story, but there's a point to it. I was watching a comedy special on TV and one of the comedians said, yeah, a lot of women will say, I'm big boned. She's like, yeah, you got some pretty big meat wrapped around those bones too. And of course, when I was watching this comedy special, I just died laughing. I thought that was so funny. And then my dad made that comment and I connected the two. Isn't that weird how your brain goes to that? Like, why would I have immediately thought of that comedy special? But I did. So then I thought, oh my gosh, that was a backhanded compliment. Like, he was basically telling me that I was fat. And that's how I thought of it. And at the time, I was only like 11 years old, maybe 12. So I was already at an age where I was very self-conscious anyway, because for girls going through puberty and being 12 or 13 or 14 is horrible. It's awkward and everything else. For him to make that comment, and again, he meant nothing by it. A lot of people really have no clue that they've offended you when they say things. He had no idea. And when he said that this weekend, I was like, really? Because I had another uncle who said to me one time, did you gain weight? And it took me back a little bit. I was like, what? I don't know. And I was 14 at the time when he said that. This was Christmas Eve. We walked over to see him. My mom lived next door to my aunt. So we walked next door to see them and he said that. Do you have a scale at home? Do you look like you put on weight? He didn't say anything to anyone else, just me, right? Singled me out, which, again, 14, self-conscious. This is not embarrassing in the least. Like, please stop calling me out in front of people. But anyway, he asked that, and I said no. And he's like, oh, well, you look like you have. And I was embarrassed, humiliated. Like, why would you say that in front of everyone that was over there? And it's Christmas Eve. And I went back to the house where my mom had all of this food waiting, and I didn't want to eat. I wanted to throw up. And it was miserable that I was so upset. And those kinds of things are the little things that stick with you. And, if you ever have the tendency to want to comment on someone's weight, just don't. Just don't do it. Because you never know. Something you might mean as a compliment can be taken the wrong way. But anyway, so that stuck with me. And at first, I said, why did he say that? My mom said, oh, he meant that as a compliment. I was like, I know, but they know, everyone at that table except him knows, you don't talk about my weight because that's a sore subject for me. I just have always had an issue with that because I don't care if you think I'm skinny or if you think I'm fat or you think I'm this, keep that to yourself. I don't care what you think. I have to worry about myself. I don't care how you perceive me, but it's taken me a long time to get to that point, and it irritated me that he said that out loud in front of the whole table. And, my niece was so mad. She's like, why would he say that? Why did he pick on you and point out that about you? And we talked about it. And then I just came to this realization, I knew he didn't really mean anything about it. He didn't mean anything by it. He didn't mean anything negative. He meant it as a compliment. And so I thought, okay, well, gotta let that go. But we had been at this festival and I had 2 beers. So when he said it, rubbed me the wrong way and I wasn't very happy about it. And then I thought about it and I was like, yeah, it doesn't, I don't care anyway. Even if he thinks that I put on weight, I don't care. I really don't care. And the thing that we were laughing about was because I had eaten one thing that day. I hadn't even eaten anything except for a little thing of pasta. That's all I had. And my niece was like, why did he say that to you? You didn't even eat anything. It's I know, I don't know, but I just let it go. We laughed it off. But it makes total sense that would come up for me because that has been a trigger for me my whole life. And it's so weird because I've never been a person who has particularly had a hard time with weight. I've always been about the same size and I've fluctuated throughout my life, maybe 5 pounds here or there, or sometimes 10. I was pregnant with twins and I still didn't really have a big issue with that. But for some reason, this must have been something that I signed up to come here to deal with. Because for some reason that is oblivious to me, people keep making comments about my weight. And anyone else who truly did struggle with weight all of their life, I really do feel for people because I understand when people make comments, it's so hurtful. And if I actually did struggle here and there, that would be one thing. But I would not have been self-conscious about my weight at all growing up if people hadn't gone out of their way to point it out to me. I wouldn't have been. And then we have society that tells you, you have to be this size or you have to be that size. I didn't even look at it that way. I looked at it as, I eat what I want to enjoy it. And when I'm full, that's fine. It wasn't seeking out eating emotionally or anything like that. Until after people pointed out that, did you gain weight? Or, oh, you're big boned or this or that. It's seriously? And I think people just really don't get it. They don't understand, especially because sometimes when people are trying to compliment other people, they really are not complimenting them, but they don't get that either. But my point is, it brought up those triggers for me this weekend. And it makes sense because with what's happening with the full moon and the equinox, it's about bringing up these past behavior patterns and letting them go. For me, it's letting go of the need to care what anyone says or thinks about the way I look. I can wear what I want. I can wear my hair the way I want. And pretty much for the most part, I've always felt that way. It's just those little things here and there that people have said. And people have made comments before, when it was a trend to have jeans with holes in them, which it still is. It was a fashionable trend. And you see people all over wearing them. I wore a pair and one of our older friends was like, oh, can't you afford decent jeans, haha, the joking that people do. I mean, people say the most ignorant things sometimes. You just want to say, shut up, like nobody asked for your opinion. I really just want to wear a shirt sometimes that says no one asked you for your opinion. So please don't give it so freely. But it's little things like that where we fear what people are saying about us or judging us. Here's the truth. People will judge you all the time. They just will. That's how people are. It is our human nature to judge people. And what we have to do is have the security in ourselves to get to a place where we just say, I don't care. And that's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy place to get to. And it's taken me a long time. And I still have times like this weekend when that comment was made where I was like, oh, wait a minute. But I was more easily able to get back to the place of just laughing about it. Like, who cares? And just looking at it in the way that he meant it. And just thinking like he really just needs to stop trying to give compliments because he doesn't know how to give them. And people, a lot of people are like that. They just think they're complimenting you and it seems backhanded or it's just like, that's not really a compliment. So you just have to get to a place where you're so secure in yourself and you're so confident in yourself that you don't care what anyone else says or what anyone else thinks. Because to be honest, people are ignorant sometimes. They really are. If no one has ever been in your shoes, then they don't think twice about saying something to you that might be offensive to you, but they don't realize it's offensive because if someone said it to them, they may not be offended. The truth is a lot of people think that we think like they do. And that is not true at all. In fact, nothing could be farther from the truth. We often think very differently. And that's okay. The problem arises when people say things to other people without thinking about how it might make the other person feel. So maybe you've had triggers like that coming up for you lately. And again, as I said before, everyone is working on different issues. So the things that trigger you may not trigger someone else. Maybe you're working on body image issues. Maybe you're working on abandonment issues. Maybe you're working on trauma from being emotionally abused or physically abused as a child. We all have different issues that we are working through and that we're healing. And right now is the time that it's being brought up for us and we're experiencing these triggers. But it's not going to be this way forever. We are coming into a season where once we learn to clear this and to let it go, beautiful blessings are going to be coming into our lives. And I'm already seeing this in my own life. Beautiful things have been coming up for me, and I'm very excited about it. And if I would have focused on the triggers in a bad way of, oh, why is this happening again? I might not have been able to heal and to move past it and to look at the blessings that were on the other side of it. So it's super important right now for you to be kind and gentle with yourself. And when a trigger comes up, work through it. Ask yourself, what is happening? What is this really about? 9 times out of 10, it's not about the thing that actually just happened. Just as when my dad said what he said, it was not about him saying that. It was about me feeling all these years that people were watching my weight like it's any of their business when it's not. But I had to recognize what it was really about and also say, you know what, I forgive all those people who made me feel bad about myself when I was growing up. The truth is they did not know what they were doing. They did not understand the damage they were causing. And I forgive them for that. And now I choose to not care from here on out when anyone says to me about how I look. It's none of my business what they think. I don't care if they like my hair or like my weight or like what I'm wearing. It's none of my concern. If I like it, that's good enough for me. So if you are a person who is going through those triggers right now, it's really important to start working on them and to start healing. And sometimes we need to work with others. We can't heal them by ourselves because we're too close to the situation. Maybe we don't understand what is triggering us. And it's perfectly acceptable to get help when you need it, whether that's reaching out to a counselor or working with a coach, taking an online course, whatever it is that you need to do in order to help you work through the stuff you're working through. Because you didn't come here to be miserable or to feel bad, to have low self-esteem, to be broke. You didn't come here to do any of that stuff. You came here to be happy and to learn. But part of that is learning, and learning is not always easy, and growth is not always easy, and it's not always comfortable. But we have to get to a place where we're willing to push ourselves outside of our comfort zones in order to learn and grow so that we can heal and move forward and receive all the beautiful blessings that are waiting for us on the other side of that. So know that if you're going through triggers right now, it's normal. Everyone's going through different shifts right now. We're all feeling it. One of the things that has really helped me in the past couple of days is doing chakra healing and doing some guided meditations that work with healing the chakras. And Reiki sessions are great for that too, because that's one of the things that I always do with my clients is I will clear and balance the energy chakras when I work with them in a Reiki session. And when I work with an individual one-on-one, I can connect to their energy. So before we even get started, I know which chakras are really, really off or unbalanced. And it's funny because when I tell them, when you're experiencing this blocked chakra, here are the physical and emotional symptoms you may be feeling. And they'll say, oh my God, that is spot on. That's exactly what's happening right now. And you can see it lines up perfectly that when one thing is off and thrown out of balance, it causes a lot of different things to happen in your life. So work on balancing those chakras and grounding yourself if you need to go outside and walk in nature. Again, you could get a Reiki session that helps too, just balancing that energy. And make sure you're doing a lot of self-care right now because you can't really get to the root of all of your problems and fix things if you're just completely wiped out and drained. So you've got to take some time to do nice things for yourself, whether that's making sure you're getting enough sleep at night, making sure that you are doing things that bring you joy, like listening to happy music, going for a walk, eating foods that make you feel good, all of those things just so you can feel better. That is what's going to help you, because if you're completely wiped out, drained, not feeling well, it's going to be really hard for you to do the work. So be kind and compassionate with yourself because it is a process. It takes time. We are coming to the end of a cycle where we've had all of these heavy energies. So it is going to get better. I promise you it's going to get better. But do the work. Don't avoid it. And do the self-care. Make sure you're being kind and compassionate with yourself and reach out and work with someone if that's going to help you. You can work with me. I do private one-on-one coaching. I also do Reiki, and I also do readings for people. If you just want some clarity or guidance, you can always reach out to me. If you go to my website, melissaoatman.com, you can even book a free discovery call with me if you want to work with me, but you're not really sure what you want. I have online courses too that you can do on your own at your own pace. I have one for increasing self-love. So check all of that out and go to my website. And also, maybe you just want to listen to more beneficial podcasts. You know, I release a podcast 3 times a week, but if you follow me on Patreon and join my Patreon, you get 2 exclusive episodes each week. So that would be 5 days of podcasts that you can listen to help you work on growing and learning and improving and becoming a better person. So join me on Patreon. I'd love to have you over there. The link is in the show notes. The link to my website is in the show notes. My email is there, all of my social media. Just reach out even. I even have people who don't necessarily want to book a discovery call, but they just want to message me, and that works for me too. I am very easy to get a hold of. You can message me on Instagram or Facebook or email me, and I always get right back to you. So don't hesitate to reach out. So I wanted to pull a card for you today. And the card I pulled is from the Daily Guidance with Your Angels deck. And it says, be honest with yourself. Look into your heart and you will know the truth of the situation. It's safe to admit the truth to yourself, where we will support and guide you through any necessary changes. Lean upon us for courage and the strength to take good care of yourself. Focus only upon your true desires, and they'll come to you upon angels' wings. I love that message. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for being here with me and for supporting my podcast. If you like this podcast, please subscribe. Please leave a positive review from wherever you're listening. The best compliment you can pay me is to share my podcast with others. I want to thank you so much. Don't forget to follow me on social media. I go live Mondays at 6:30 Central on Facebook, where I do a free card reading. If for some reason I need to do it on a different day because an emergency pops up, I always post that on my Facebook page. I hope that you guys have a beautiful day from wherever you're listening. As always, I am sending you so much love and light, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.